What's going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown, here for episode number 114 of the Boxing Lowdown podcast, man. Here on a Friday evening. Delighted to be joined, as always, by my father right here in the building. We got a lot to cook on today. We got a lot to talk about, guys. And I can't wait to get your opinions on this. First of all, as always, let me just go straight to the chat. I see Himanshu's in the building right here early. Big up Himanshu, as always joins us, man. Big him up. And anyone else that joins the chat, don't forget to hit the like button on the way in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And feel free to leave your comments. And if I can get to them, I happily will. Big up Francisco in the building as well. He can't wait to talk about the Canelo fight as well. We're going to be cooking on that for sure. But yeah, shout out to all you guys, man, on this Friday. I hope you're all looking forward to the weekend. And no mythical Monday matchup this week to cook on. So let's just get straight into it, man. Let's talk about the breaking news that took place a couple of hours ago. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk now looks to be signed. This doesn't mean that, the fight is definitely happening. I think we've been in boxing too long to, get too excited about that. But this is a big step in the right direction. Fury's confirmed it. Frank Warren has confirmed it. I had a look to see if Team Usyk had confirmed it, and they have. Alexander Krasuk, Usyk's promoter, he's confirmed it. I think Igor Klimas has confirmed it. So both sides are confirming that this is done. ESPN's Michael Coppinger reported on it a couple of hours ago, broke the news. And providing Fury gets past Ngannou, which I think we all believe he will, this fight could be taking place in December or January of this year. Now, a lot of skepticism has been made online, on Twitter. They're all in the camp of I'll believe it when I see it. But at the moment, I think it seems pretty safe that the contract has been signed. But we've been here before. So let me hear your thoughts on this, Laurie, on this, and let's talk about it.
First of all, did I hear you right? Did you say if Fury gets past? That's a good one. I like that. I won't even bother answer that one. Let's go straight to the main topic. Pardon me, but I'm not excited, man. You know what I mean? This is what should have happened already. So I'm not that excited. Don't get me wrong, I welcome it, but I'm not excited about it. You know what I mean? Because this should have happened. This fight should be happening in October. And I think it's all the criticism and the furore and the shade that's been thrown at Fury. Maybe somebody sat him down and said, look, you know what, we're really going to need to make this happen. Maybe the WBC have finally grown up here and say, listen, man, if you don't fight Usyk next, we're going to have to strip you. I reckon something like that's happened. Because if you remember, it was only a few weeks ago, Tyson Fury put a statement out saying he's not interested in fighting Usyk, he'll never fight him. He's not interested in unifying titles. He's only interested in money. And now here we are a couple of weeks later, there's an about turn in that regard. But then, those of us who know Fury know that, this is what happens with this guy. That's why I've never been down with Fury outside the ring. You know what I mean? Because he's a complete mass of lies and contradictions and clout and all the rest of it, man. So pardon me if I'm not excited, but don't get me wrong, I welcome the fight.
Yeah, and like you said, this really should be happening in October, Fury and Usyk, but it's not, but I guess better late than never if it does come around. Is some of your excitement a bit...
No, I've no excitement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, hold on. Is your excitement wavered a little bit because of the fact Usyk didn't look that great against Daniel Dubois, and you feel that Fury might be jumping on him now?
Yeah, I definitely think that had a lot to do with it as well. The fact that Usyk, let's face it, I wouldn't say he was lucky against Dubois because he was clearly the better fighter, but I still maintain my position on that fight that he was hit low to the body. It was a borderline shot. It wasn't low. And he made the most of it. And he was grateful for a very accommodating, shall we say, referee. He played his position and allowed him to recover. But that shot was definitely not low. You know what I mean? So maybe Fury's looked at that and thought, yeah, there's a blueprint to beat Usyk. He doesn't look that great. Now I think I can take him. And if you think about it, that is in boxing anyway. A lot of the fights do get made off the back of scenarios like that, where one or the other guys not look that impressive, and suddenly the fight gets made. So a fight that you're thinking, oh, it's never going to happen. All of a sudden, they're one of the protagonists. They have a fight. They don't look good. And then all of a sudden, the other fighter is very keen to make the fight, whereas previously he wasn't. So I'm pretty had something to do with it as well.
Diaz has said here as well, literally just said that. He said, any coincidence Fury's found his pen after Usyk looked underwhelming in his last fight? Yeah, literally just touched on that. Himanshu says here, by the way, if Usyk beats Fury, he is undisputed pound for pound #1, in my opinion, and the best fighter of this generation, because he also has an Olympic gold medal, which Crawford, Canelo, and then man don't. That's a valid point.
Yeah, I guess you could say you could make a claim for him. Certainly. But at the moment, anyway, I mean, that's yet to happen. At the moment, for me, Terence Crawford is firmly established as the #1 pound for pound fighter. We still don't know if this fight's going to happen, do we, though? Let's be honest. We've seen these kind of things before. I know they've claimed to have signed, which is, like you said, it's a step in the right direction. Looks like it's going to happen. But with Fury, you really don't know until they're actually in the ring with that guy, because there's a couple of months to go yet, and anything can happen. That's all I would say on that.
Yeah, what I will say is that although the contracts have been signed, we don't know the finer details, like how much of the contract has been. Is there still parts of the contract to be agreed? Like, we don't know all the detail yet. We know it's been signed, but could that be on particular conditions other than Fury defeating Ngannou? Could it be down to if he accepts this split or not? We don't really know the intricacies of this particular contract. All we've been told is that it's been signed. Like, yeah, what about it though? What's been signed? Is there anything more to sign? Like, do we need to wait for the venue? Do we need, like, what's going on there? Like, can we agree on a date? Like, it's hard to get really excited about this due to Fury's history and how he likes to play people around, and the fact that us as boxing fans have been messed around before when we've been told. I'm sure people said Fury and AJ were signed, and that didn't happen. So, yeah, everybody's right to be skeptical at this moment.
At least it's signed. I mean, sometimes when you hear about these fights, you hear the term often used, agreed. And then lo and behold, talks break down after that. If this is signed, then that's definitely a step in the right direction. But as I said previously, this is boxing, this is Fury. He's got form for, messing people around. So I'm not excited, although I do welcome the announcement. But let's just see what happens. I don't think he's got too many places to hide, really, has he?
No.
I actually think he's been forced into a corner. And like I said, the furore that has that accompanied the announcement of the Ngannou fight, which is an absolute farce. I don't even like to use the word fight. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, Daryl. There's some footage going around on social media of Ngannou on the pads. Honestly, seriously. I've seen guys down my gym look better than that, and they've not even fought. You know what I mean? He looked terrible.
It looked horrendous.
I mean, listen, in life, things happen. Somebody, dare I say, I don't like to say these things, you could walk across the road tonight and get hit by a car. That's about the same chance I give Ngannou of hitting Fury, or stepping out into the street and getting hit by lightning. It's the same odds for me. He's got absolutely minimal chance, below sub-zero chance to beat Fury. It's a farce. So, obviously, after he's got done with that, where is he to go? Unless he's going to carry on down that route. Probably the WBC have said, listen, man, we've tried to cover for you long enough. You're going to have to fight this guy, or we're going to have to take the titles back. You know what I mean? And then, as I said, he probably watched the war fight, or his people around him, and said, listen, man, you might as well take him now. You can do him, Tyson. So
I'm happy because, it eliminates the possibility of Fury having to fight Hrgovic, a fight that none of us really care about seeing. Fury was talking rubbish about fighting John Jones after this and all that. So, yeah, it's looking, if we can get this fight, and it will be the first, undisputed champion since Lennox Lewis at heavyweight, that's a long time in boxing, man. We need it for the sport. And for a good year that we've had, we do need this fight. But what I will say is that the December shout seems a bit early for me. December
Yeah, it
23rd,
does. Yeah.
months after this fight here. I don't know how feasible that is. Like, I don't know. Maybe Fury does come out with heart a scratch and it's just a run out for him. Then then December works. But considering promotion, pay-per-view, it would be in Saudi. I don't know. Like, is December 23rd feasible for you? Or is January more likely?
I think January is more feasible for me because he's got this fight coming up in October. Say he was to get cut or bruised or something. Just say Ngannou lands a punch. I mean, I know it's I know it's unlikely, but to say Ngannou landed a punch and caused a cut or a bruising or some laceration or something, because I don't even think he'll land a decent punch. Then, you know, the fight might get delayed because of that. I don't know. December does seem a bit quick. I mean, we're pretty much into October now, aren't we? So, you know what I mean? Sunday's the 1st of October. So December, bit optimistic. One thing I would say, even now, is that if Usyk wins that fight, which he does have a good chance of winning, I think the heavyweight titles are in better hands than if Fury wins, because I strongly suspect that if Fury beats Usyk, he'll do another. Then he probably will take on John Jones. He'll say, "Yeah, I've cleaned up boxing. Now I want to clean up UFC." You know what I mean? You're going to get some rubbish like that. Whereas at least if Usyk wins, I think Usyk is an honourable man and a man of his word. I think he will try and defend the belts and carry himself like a true heavyweight champion should. So I think all true boxing fans should want Usyk to win. And I know that sounds slightly unpatriotic if you're from the UK like I am, but I've just got no faith in Fury that he's going to honour the belts. You've seen what he's like, you know, when he wins title fights. He goes missing for a year, 18 months, 2 years, or whatever it is. So, yeah, I can see that happening. If he beats Usyk, you know what I mean, he'll probably go on a 2-year victory tour, you know what I mean, doing nothing. So, but there you go.
Good point here from Ian Hamilton, because there was an appeal supposed to be pending with Frank Warren and WBA with Daniel Dubois. So Ian Hamilton says here, I'm skeptical because of Frank Warren's WBA Dubois appeal. If it goes the way of Dubois, that is a true con job.
That's the way. That's no, we all know deep down that ain't going nowhere, bro.
Well, you say that, but apparently Eddie Hearn came out a few days ago and said that, you know, he believes that it might be successful. But what does, I guess, you know, it's not really down to him. He is inside.
What grounds is he got for saying that?
Well, I guess he's in the know, isn't he? I guess he's in those same sort of circles. Maybe he's heard something.
Yeah, possibly. You know what I mean? But I doubt it very much. What is the precedent for him getting a rematch? An immediate rematch at that? What is the precedent for that? I've never seen that before in boxing. You know what I mean? So I very much doubt that will happen.
Yeah. I mean, judging by your reaction, I mean, I've seen some people say, yeah, this is great. Yeah, I can't wait. But you very...
Nah, I am.
Skeptical, very, yeah, it's about time. I'm not giving him credit for this. It should have happened already.
Yeah, I'm not giving him no credit for it. This is something that should have happened already. You know what I mean? Like, you're just doing what you're supposed to do. You've just kept everyone in abeyance. You're messing people around. And now you want people to give you credit now that you've signed the fight. You should have done this months ago, bro. And then we had to put up with all the Ngannou nonsense. You know what I mean? It's just not giving. Why should we give him credit for that, though? You know what I mean? If you're supposed to do your job and then you go swanning off for 6 months and then you walk back through the door, is your boss going to come up to you and, oh, Daryl, it's great to see you back? He's going to say, where were you? You know what I mean? At least you've got a valid reason for being away. You know what I mean? You'll probably be in his office getting disciplined. So, like I said, I'm not excited about that. This is something that should have happened months ago. Listen, I welcome it. Like I said, we do want to see the heavyweight title picture resolved. It's important for boxing. So I welcome it. But am I excited? Hell no. And I don't trust it. I want to see them in the ring. Then I can maybe start to get a little bit excited when I see them in the ring across from each other.
Okay. Well, that remains to be seen. But that is the breaking news that, broke a couple of hours ago. But that is the news that's filtered through today. Big boxing news Fury and Usyk signed. Let's wait for further details on when it becomes actually official, though. Yep, go on.
There's some other breaking news today, but it's not boxing related.
Go on, go ahead.
Seismic news. There's been an arrest in the murder of Tupac Shakur. Somebody was arrested this morning in America. Yeah. I mean, it's an arrest. It's not the person's not been charged yet, but they're expecting him to be charged. So that's breaking news as well that I found out. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that.
See what happens with that. Two fighters that we know definitely will be in the ring this weekend. That is Canelo and Canelo-Charlo. 168-pound undisputed. All the belts will be on the line. Canelo-Charlo moving up 2 weight divisions to make this fight happen. I don't know. Like, we'll get into the details of the fight in a bit, but talk to me about the build-up, because for me, I haven't really been that gripped by this for some reason.
2 words. Lackluster.
Why is that? Is it because of the 2 weights? Is it because, I mean, Charlo is a name in his own right. He's a star. Canelo, as we know, is a superstar. You know, they're both big names. Charlo is a very good fighter. He's considered to be probably better than his twin brother, even though he is a bit smaller. But yeah, I just haven't really felt that excitement. Is it because Canelo has been on the slide in his last couple of fights, or is it because we just want to see him fight David Benavidez? Like, why do you think that? I don't know. For me, anyway, I could be wrong. There could be people in the chat that disagree, but for me, anyway, I just haven't felt that same excitement for this as I normally do for, you know, a Canelo or a Charlo fight.
But was you excited for the John Ryder fight? No disrespect to John Ryder, but no, he wasn't excited about that either. I think what it is, right, Daryl, a lot of people, myself included, and I'm going to speak for myself, but I think a lot of people do feel the same. We're getting rather fed up of Canelo doing this cherry picking and fighting guys when really we know he should be fighting. And if you remember, when this fight was announced, there's a lot of people, me, you, loads of people out there were like very dismissive of this fight. Why? Like, he initially went after the brother. And I thought that was a bit cowardly to go after the brother, knowing that he'd not fought for about 18 months. We all knew that he was having personal issues. Maybe didn't know quite the extent of them, but we all knew that he was having issues. We'd seen him imploding at various events. We knew he was nowhere near focused and ready for world title fights. So for Canelo to even reach out to fight him when you had guys like Benavidez and Morrell and people like that, I just thought that was a little off. In fact, not more than a little off, way off. And then when I found out that he's fighting his brother, I'm like, bro, come on, man. Like, he's 2 weights below you. And I think Canelo probably thought that, given, you know, let's face it, he is so-called the face of boxing, he probably thought he'd be able to ride it out. Oh, Canelo's back in the ring. Yeah, he's fighting Charlo, undisputed versus undisputed. That's what they were labeling it. But I think boxing fans, we're not stupid, man. We can see this for what it is, you know what I mean? And I think subsequently that's affected the promo, and people don't believe in this fight, though. I'm not excited about this fight. I rubbed my hands earlier. I was being sarcastic. Don't get me wrong. I'll watch it. I subscribe to the DAZN. But if I had to pay for it, I wouldn't. I'll tell you that now. You know what I mean? And I even said to you the other day, didn't I? I goes, I won't even stay up to watch it. And for me, someone like me to say that just tells you. I'll go to sleep normally. I'll wake up the next morning. I'll watch it. I'll try to watch it, not knowing the result. Although sometimes that's difficult because people be texting you and all sorts of stuff. But I'm not even bothered because I know Canelo's going to win. We all know Canelo's going to win. Charlo's got no chance, bro. When people, I'm online and they're saying, yeah, Charlo's looking big and he knocked out this guy and that guy. I go, bro, like, Canelo, for all his faults, he's a great fighter, right? Let's just have it right. He's a great fighter. And one of the things that makes Canelo such a great fighter is that he has got one of the best, if not the best, chins in boxing. And that's been the case for a number of years. You look at the guys he's been in with. You know what I mean? A primetime Triple G fought him 24 rounds, couldn't put a dent in him. Bivol smacked Canelo around the ring for large parts of that fight they had. Never hurt him once. You know what I mean? Kovalev, guys, Danny Jacobs, all these guys are big punchers. They couldn't put a dent in Canelo. Not even, 154-pound Canelo-Charlo, his first fight at super middle, is going to go in there and stop Canelo. Come on, bro. And then the other thing is, Even if he does win rounds, let's say he wins 7 rounds out of the 12, which means he should get the decision on the. Do you really? People need to think more, bro. Do you really think that they're going to give Charlo the fight, knowing that Canelo has a 3-fight deal with the BBC? That's not going to happen, bro. It's so. Listen, I guess I should be more transparent and say, yes, anything can happen. I just said a minute ago, we could walk across the road today and get hit by a car. You could step out tomorrow and get hit by lightning. It's nothing is impossible in a boxing ring, yeah? But come on now, this fight, we all know how it's going to go. We all know how it's going to go. Canelo is going to lose a couple of rounds possibly due to Charlo's greater athleticism, his speed. He'll probably win a couple of the early rounds. But we all know how the fight is going to play out. Canelo's going to start going to the body. He'll wear him down, and he'll either beat him up on the way to a points victory, or he'll stop him late.
Yeah.
So I'm not excited about this fight, especially when you consider the options he had to fight.
Yeah, and you know what? I with risk of revealing our picks too early, I completely agree. James asked for your pick, but you've already said it.
No, it's obvious, though. It's obvious.
DS has said here, though, I think this fight could turn out to be a cherry pick gone wrong. Charlo on points. And DS obviously knows his stuff. So, not everybody's looking at it that way. But I have to agree. I think that this is going to be so difficult for Charlo to win for me. Number one, he's never, ever fought above 154. Never competed. He could look as big as you want. But when you're in there and you're getting hit by a super middleweight, and you've never had that before, that's totally different to competing, to how it looks on the outside. Number two, Canelo is elite, got a brilliant world-class chin. He's a top-level fighter. He barely gets beaten on points as well. Number three, Canelo's been in there with guys that are significantly bigger than Jamel, like Kovalev, like you said, Bivol. These guys are way bigger than Jamel. Jamel, is he the sort of guy that's going to outbox you for 12 rounds? Doesn't really have that style. He's relied on his knockout power for a long time now, but he's going to have to really try and use his legs and try and make Canelo look old in there. But when I look at Canelo, he looks in fantastic shape. He looks brilliant. And I just don't see a way for Charlo to win this, man. The Castano fight is what worries me for Charlo, because he's a Canelo light, right? And he gave him hell in that first fight. Yeah, he did stop him the second time round, but the first fight, he gave him hell. And if he's giving Charlo hell, then Canelo's on another level. Yeah, I could see him wearing him. I could see him breaking him down late as well, or winning on points. I could see that. Yeah.
I think he could go the way of the Caleb Plant fight. You know, remember the Caleb Plant, where Caleb Plant won a few rounds early, and then over time, Canelo just stepped up the gas round by round, and then he got him out of there late. I think the same thing could happen to Charlo. I think even Charlo's body language, Daryl, to me, he doesn't look like a guy that's totally confident. You look at this version of Charlo, the way he's conducted himself, to the previous Charlos that we've seen. Animated, angry, in your face, confrontational. All he seems to be doing in the lead up to this fight is paying Canelo respect. Yeah, you're a good fighter. Yeah, you've got skills. When have you ever seen Charlo act like that before? He just seems to me like he's happy to be here. He's going to make a lot of money. He's probably reasoned to himself that if I put up a good performance, win, lose or draw, you know what I mean, I'm going to make a lot of money. Eyes are going to be on me. He's already said he's dropping back down to 154 after the fight. He's already said that. You know what I mean? Where the likes of Tim Tszyu and all those guys will be waiting for him. So, and Terence Crawford. So he's already talking about going back down to 154 and fighting those guys. Does that sound like somebody that's truly confident to you? And I think that when he gets in the ring and he realizes the enormity of the task, that will be reflected in his efforts. I mean, I'm going to say this, yeah? After all what I've said previously, I would like to see a scenario where he wins. Because I think Canelo, he's been doing this now for a while, number of years, where he's just cherry-picked his way through and he's been getting away with absolute murder. And the Canelo fanboys out there co-signing it, and anyone who dares to criticize like myself or you or anybody, all of a sudden we're haters, you don't like him because he's Mexican, rare. But really, Canelo has been doing a disservice to those titles for a while now. The only good thing about Canelo is that he fights regularly. And people will always throw that back at me. But yeah, but at least he's fighting. And yeah, okay, he's fighting, but is he fighting the fights we want to see? No, he's not. You know what I mean? So in a way, it would be good to see Charlo upset the apple cart in that way, and then all the thinking will have to be revisited, wouldn't it? But I honestly can't see it. I just don't see. Jamel Charlo is not the guy for the job for me.
Question here from Ian Hamilton. He says here, just to ask Laurie, what is the definition of cherry picking for you? Mine is when somebody like Mayweather, when he fought Berto and Guerrero. On what level is this one here?
So what is Ian saying, that this isn't cherry picking? Just
no, he's saying, well, I think he just wants to know what your opinion of cherry picking is.
Look, when Mayweather fought Berto, that was his second to last fight, wasn't it? He was obviously had one foot out the door. And I'm not like trying to make a case for cherry picking. What I would say, though, is that all the great fighters have cherry picked to a greater or lesser degree in their careers. Definitely Mayweather did that. Even the 50-0 that he got, that was a cherry pick when somehow Conor McGregor was able to get a professional license, and his very first fight in a boxing ring was just taking on Mayweather, although Mayweather didn't have any titles at that time. But I'm just saying that if you follow the career trajectory of Canelo, man, you will see that there's an obvious pattern there. When foes are presented to him that look like they're going to be a problem, he's found a way of swerving. And we've got to be honest, the Guerrero fight wasn't a cherry pick. If I remember rightly, Guerrero was coming off a couple of really good wins. I think he stopped Andre Berto before Mayweather fought him. And I remember that fight. A lot of people thought that Guerrero's work rate might be, at that time, aging Mayweather. A lot of people saying, yeah, they might pull for the upset. So, yeah, that's my answer to that. But come on, Ian, we all know it's true, man. Like, Canelo is a great fighter. I said that earlier in this show, and I've said that in every show that I've been on. I've always been consistent with that. Canelo is a great fighter. However, the cherry picking issue is not even a question anymore, man. It's a no-brainer. You just got to look at the trajectory of his career.
Let's talk about keys to victory and start off with Charlo, because we're kind of not writing him off, but we're both picking Canelo here. But like we said earlier, Canelo has got a world-class chin, one of the best in boxing. Also, it's hard to outpoint him on the scorecards. We know that. So keys to victory for Charlo, what does he have to do when you take that into consideration then? Because what we're saying is it's very difficult to knock him out, and it's very difficult to outpoint him. So how does Charlo navigate this then? What does he do?
Well, to me, the only way Charlo is going to win is by stopping Canelo, which, like I said, is extremely unlikely, nigh on impossible, based on what we've seen so far of the two fighters. Because, listen, Charlo does hit hard, but come on now, that's at 154, and he's not knocking out everybody at 154 either. You know what I mean? He's moving up 2 weight classes, not 1, 2. And you're taking on one of the guys who's one of the best, if not the best chin in boxing of current fighters, right? So that's extremely unlikely. I guess the tactics will be tomorrow to be boxing and moving, right? And even that, Daryl, we know what's going to happen there. If he wins rounds by boxing and moving, what are people going to say? Yeah, he was running. And they will use that as a way to not give him the rounds. They will say, oh, you didn't engage enough. You're on the back foot, whereas Canelo was the one coming forward looking to land the powerful shots. But obviously, listen, if I was in his camp, my game plan would be to utilize his movement. He does have decent feet. He does have a very good jab. He puts his combinations together well. He throws a good uppercut. He's got a very good right hand. So he does have the ability to, land on Canelo. Canelo's not the hardest to land on. He doesn't have great footwork. He tends to shell up. And then come forward. And then what Canelo will look to do is when he gets a guy that's moving or is quite athletic like that, Canelo will, and it's a good tactic. It's an old Rocky Marciano tactic where he will target the shoulder, the arms, the body in an effort to slow his opponent down. And then he will back himself to get inside so he can land the big hooks to the body and come over the head with the hooks and the right hand. But Charlo has to keep moving, establish the jab, work off the jab, tie up when Canelo gets close, reset and go again. He's got to do it. You know how much concentration and you know how much that's going to take out of his gas tank by doing that. And all the time Canelo has the power to really hurt you. You know what I mean? So it's quite a risque strategy.
Yeah. And with Canelo, I would say for him, I would say is to try and work his way on the inside, act like the bigger man in there, let Charlo know that, you know, this is 2 weight divisions above your normal fighting weight, and break him down. You know, he's going to have to be wary. I think the Danny Jacobs fight is a good fight for him to look at. I'm not saying Charlo is Danny Jacobs, but, you know, Jacobs was tall and long, had good power, athletic, a bit like Charlo in that sense. And Canelo boxed brilliantly in that fight. He didn't, you know, barge forward and break Jacobs down. He showed great defense in that fight. Maybe we might have to see a little bit of that again. But that was Canelo of 4 or 5 years ago, that fight. You know, against John Ryder, he didn't look that good. Against Triple G, even though he won easily, he didn't look that good because Triple G was way past it. So Canelo hasn't looked that great himself. Obviously, Bivol lost that comprehensively. So could we bank on that? Could we have a look at the fact that Canelo hasn't been at his best? And that's why DS is saying that this could be a cherry pick gone wrong. Could we factor that in?
The reason why people are saying that is because, you know, against John Ryder, let's be honest, he didn't look that good. He looked beatable, in fact. And then the fight before that, he lost to Bivol, and he was, as far as I'm concerned, he was well beaten by Bivol. I mean, even that, why has he not sought to get the rematch? I mean, Bivol even said, "I'll come down to 168 to fight you," and he's not sought to address that loss. But all of a sudden, you're fighting a 154 pounder, and then people get upset when I say he's cherry picking. I mean, why is it not he fought Bivol? You know what I mean? Someone tell me why he's not sought to get revenge for that. I mean, he's Canelo; he can do what he wants. Like I said, Bivol even said, "I will come down to 168 to fight you," to show that it wasn't a weight issue. Because remember when Bivol beat him, there's a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, but Bivol's a light heavyweight." Bivol said, "Okay, if you think it was the weight that beat him, not my skills, I will come down to 168 and gladly accommodate Canelo." Did Canelo seek to fight him at 168? Of course he did, because he knows. Anyway, to go back to this fight, I think you mentioned the Danny Jacobs fight. The exemplary thing that Canelo showed in that fight wasn't so much his footwork, which he did have better footwork at that time, was his head movement.
Yeah.
Well, the head movement was pretty non-existent in the John Ryder fight, if you remember. All he did in that fight was just shell up, put the earmuffs up. But if you remember in the John Ryder fight, the ring was about the size of this table that I'm on now. So that made it very easy for him to do that. But then even then, Ryder was able to catch him with shots.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think Canelo's tactics in this fight will be to shell up, put the earmuffs up and come forward. And he'll try to take the sting out of Charlo's punches. And if he can't reach him to the head or the body cleanly, then he will target the arms, the shoulders, and then seek to break Charlo down. I reckon by about the halfway mark, round 5-6, you'll start to see Canelo come on strong. And as for Charlo, he said he's not coming in at 168, but he'll be fighting heavier than he normally does. And you saw what happened with Joe Joyce last week when he put on a load of weight. What does that do? It slows you down. So I just can't see it at all.
Shout out to my guy Andre in the chat, man. But bro, Dre is here in the building. Big up Dre, man. He says Canelo is not the same fighter. And he also says Canelo and his team definitely cherry pick opponents. Shout out to my brother Dre. DS has said here, the biggest mistake Charlo could make is coming in at 168. If he comes in at 163 to 165, I'd be very confident in him winning. And you said that as well.
I think DS is counting on whether Charlo is going to get a fair crack with the judges. And I'm telling you now, DS, right? He's not going to get a fair crack with the judges. If those rounds are even remotely close, they will get marked for Canelo. I'm telling you now. We've seen it happen before, many, many times. So
what about this? What about this then? Because Charlo will be fighting on a stage that he hasn't fought on before. Do you think the occasion might get to him? Because you said his body language hasn't been the same in the press conferences. Is that a reason, or do you just think he's just paying Canelo respect and he will show up on the night? Or do you think it might be a factor, the stage that he's going to be on Saturday night?
No, listen, I don't think he will spew it. I think he will give it a good effort. but I just don't believe that he's showing me the confidence that I want to see from somebody taking on Canelo in a fight of this magnitude. You know what I mean? Because he's acting out of character. If he was acting in character, then I would say, okay, that's how he normally is. But he's acting out of character. He's going out of his way to show Canelo respect. Normally, Charlo is one of the most disrespectful guys in boxing. You know what I mean? You've only got to have followed his career to have seen that. You know, he's a very disrespectful guy, very dislikable person, if I'm being honest, outside the ring. All of a sudden now he's showing Canelo respect and shaking hands and acknowledging his skill set and all that. If anything, it's Canelo who's been doing the talking, isn't it? Canelo's been saying, listen, man, previously you disrespected my skills. On Saturday, I'm going to show you. You know what I mean? So yeah, when I see things like that, I'm thinking to myself, because we've seen this before, ain't they, with Canelo opponents. They go in there and they're literally beaten before the first bell goes.
Got a question.
Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, you know, Avni Yildirim. I could go on. These guys are beaten mentally before they get in the ring.
Yeah, Callum Smith is a great example. Got a question here from Ash. My bro, you know Ash?
You got Ashley, yeah.
He says here, Ash here, when you've done what Canelo has done in boxing, do you not think he's earned the right to copy Money May's method of cherry picking? Also, at the time, did you think Money May was cherry picking? So I guess that one's for you.
Listen, I think towards the end of Mayweather's career, when you're winding down, but then listen, a lot of fighters do this, you know what I mean? And I'm not like condoning it. I'm just saying the way it is. But what I'm saying is if you go back consistently throughout Canelo's career, he's looked to avoid the bigger challenges, put it like that. And I don't think he's earned the right to do that. No, I don't. At the end of the day, you should fight the number one guys, your mandatories and people like that. If you feel that way that you don't want to take on those guys, then, you know what I mean? Maybe you should give up the belts. Maybe you should do what Fury's doing. You know what I'm saying? Why should Benavidez have had to wait so long when he's been mandatory for all this time? Fought his way into position, and all he keeps getting is, what was the excuse? I don't fight Mexicans. I mean, what a load of nonsense is that? But Benavidez is not even fully Mexican because his mum's Ecuadorian. You know what I mean? Come on, man. So Ashley, stop that, man. You know what it is, bro. The man's ducking. You know what I mean? I said he's a great fighter. I'm willing to acknowledge that. I watch a lot of boxing. I know what to look for. He's a great fighter. And I do like, listen, I actually do like Canelo, believe it or not. But we've got to call out the bullshit as well. We do it for Fury, do it for Canelo too.
Okay, while we're here then, let's get our final predictions in because, you know, I think people may have already realised who we're going for in this. DS has said that he's picking Charlo. I haven't seen anyone else pick Charlo in here, but I have seen people say that he's got a chance. James Burrell said it. But for me, I'll say mine first and I'll let you finish it off. But I'm saying that Canelo wins this. It's going to be very difficult. Like I said, we're asking Charlo to do a lot. I think he's an elite fighter. I think he's a pound for pound level fighter. He's undisputed at 154 for a reason. He's a brilliant fighter, Canelo-Charlo. Probably the slightly better of the two. I used to think that Jamal was better, but Jamel has shown me rather than Jamal has. So Jamel is the slightly better fighter, but he is 2 weight divisions below. He's never fought above 154 before, and he's stepping up against a 168 pounder in Canelo. People are going to say, yeah, but you know, he's quite short and they don't look that way apart and all that. Cool. It's different when you get in the ring and you feel the force of a guy that's fought at that weight and also fought above. Canelo has fought as high as 175 before. So it's a very tall order for Charlo to go in there, fight an elite fighter like Canelo, 2 weight divisions above, and beat him. And also knowing the fact that Canelo does tend to have the benefit of the judges in these type of fights, and he's got a world-class chin. I think it's just too much to ask for Canelo-Charlo at this stage. And nobody's really expecting him to do it like that. And if he doesn't, he could just go back down to 154. So I think that this is like a great opportunity for him where you take it with both hands. And if you don't get it, it's cool. You could just go back down and fight at 154 if your body allows you to. So, yeah, not much to lose here for Jamel in terms of his stature, because not many people are picking him to win this anyway, and it's a tall order when you put all those considerations in mind. So I've got Canelo on points or late stoppage for me.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said there at all. I mean, the only thing going in Charlo's favour is it's quite apparent to most people that have watched Canelo over the years that he's on the slide. Definitely. He's not looked impressive now in 2 or 3 fights. He didn't look impressive against Ryder. He certainly wasn't impressive against Bivol. Triple G, that was a very flat fight. Neither of them were much good. So I guess if you're a Charlo fan, or you're trying to find a way for Charlo to win this fight, you will say that Canelo's on the slide. But that being said, like you mentioned earlier, it would appear that Canelo's whipped himself into very good shape. He seems very motivated by this fight. He says he wants to shock Charlo up because over the years, Charlo's done a lot of talking. Well, listen, Benavidez has done a lot of talking. Why don't you want to shut him up? Bivol's done a lot of talking. Why didn't you want to shut him up? Anyway, that being said, Canelo is the better fighter. He's the bigger fighter. When in terms of, I'm not talking about height. I mean, people going on about, when I saw Charlo up against Canelo, he was way bigger. Bro, Kovalev was way bigger. Callum Smith was way bigger. Rocky Fielding was way bigger. So that doesn't seem to matter. Canelo has fought guys taller than him virtually his whole career. Even Matthew Hatton was taller than him. So I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. Over the years, he's learned how to fight against taller guys. He's always sparring with the bigger guys. He even spars with heavyweights, apparently, in training. But in short, I'm going for a Canelo win. I think Charlo will do well to go the distance. But it will be a win for Canelo. I think Charlo will go the distance because he's a very good fighter. He is tough. They call him the Iron Man. So we'll see how tough he is. But I fully expect Canelo to have his hand raised at the end of this fight.
If Charlo does win, as DS says, where does he go in your pound for pound rankings? Because that would be a huge feat, jumping up 2 weights and defeating Canelo. He's probably in the maybe 6, 7-ish in my view. Maybe could be pushing top 5. Don't know. But Charlo, if he wins, where does he go? Would he solidify top 5 for you?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like I said, at the moment I've got Crawford, and then you got either Usyk or Inoue, depending on how you feel. If the unlikely, extremely unlikely event that Charlo wins on Saturday, then I guess he could go in at number 4 or 5 or something like that. But listen, that's not going to happen, bro. That's not happening.
Kind of writing it off. Well, listen, but before we go, because we're going to keep it a bit shorter today, but before we go, I just want to touch on the undercard, as Francisco says, because it is a very, very good undercard. We got Ramos against Lubin, and we got Barrios against Ugas on the undercard for this. Tough fight for Lubin. I see Lubin was calling out Errol Spence not too long ago, but he's got to get through this one, and I'm not sure if he will. You know,
yeah, he's not the favourite. He's not the favourite. Yeah, that fight against Ramos is a good fight. I mean, didn't Ramos beat Mendoza as the other guy that people are talking about in that division? I think Mendoza's going to fight soon. Yeah, but listen, man, Ramos unbeaten, good fighter. He's only 22, 3 years old. Lubin's not that old. I think he's only 27, 8, but he's been around a lot longer. You would have thought that Ramos is the likely guy, wouldn't you? But I do like Lubin, very skillful, underrated power. But you do get the impression, man, that it's a crossroads fight, and they're trying to steer Ramos towards that title. So I'd lean towards Ramos, but let's hope Lubin can pull it out, because I do like Lubin, good fighter.
Mario Barrios and Yordenis Ugas is the other fight on that undercard, man. Another good fight. Didn't see it coming, but it's not a bad fight.
To me, I fancy
Ugas in that.
Barrios in this fight, man. I
think fancy Barrios?
Ugas is what? He must be about 34, 35 years old. He's had a long career.
I think he might be a bit older.
Yeah, he's had a long career. He had a long amateur career for Cuba. I don't think he won a gold medal, but he was a world champion as an amateur. Very accomplished amateur. Turned pro quite late. Come to the USA. Done well. His highlight fight would have been the Porter, which I thought he was robbed in that fight. I thought he won that clearly. And then, of course, he beat Manny Pacquiao. I think that's his Mount Rushmore right there. And the way he got beat up by Errol Spence, man, I think those licks can take it out of you. Barrios is coming up in weight, younger guy, looking to establish himself in the weight division. I could see him eking out a points win on the work rate. I think you guys, Southpaw as well, the more skilled. But I think Barrios might just have the energy and the verve to get the job done in a close fight. It will be a good fight, though. I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, the undercard for this fight is very good. You see, that's what they've done, you see. Normally, Canelo's undercards are not that good. But they've tried to spice up the undercard for this fight because they know that the main event is not... I mean, who was asking for that fight between Canelo and Charlo? Absolutely nobody.
Yeah, not this Charlo anyway, more the other Charlo. But yeah.
Yeah, but even the other Charlo, we all knew that he was incapacitated because he was having a lot of personal problems outside the ring.
Yeah, well, Dexter Smith here says, Charlo upset, be ready. Be ready, Dexter says.
Well, listen, if he does it, I'll hold my hands up, but I can't see it, bro. I can't see it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Matt, shall we do a little post-fight review on Sunday? You know,
yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. There's some good fights over the weekend, even in this country. I'm looking forward to the Jai Opetaia Jordan Thompson fight. I've heard a lot about this.
The size difference is huge.
Yeah, it is. And Jordan Thompson, I'm not sure if you know, but his dad, Jeff Thompson, was a world karate champion. And Jordan Thompson, I think his mum is as an athlete, world-class athlete as well. So he comes from a very, genetically, he's very gifted, very tall. I like his confidence going into this fight. He's been given a title shot quite early on in his career. I mean, he's not that experienced. But one thing I've noticed, his body language is very positive, and he's coming to fight. Now, that doesn't mean to say he's going to win, because I do make Opetaia a very firm favourite. But I am looking forward to seeing how he gets on. He can punch a bit as well.
Yeah, he can punch.
That belief into the fight. He's the bigger man. Opetaia in his previous fight, when he took the title from Bradis, he got his jaw broken. So there could be something there for Jordan Thompson to exploit. So, yeah, I think that could be interesting. And, of course, I've got Caroline Dubois. She's fighting for a title this weekend as well. I've been following her career quite closely. I met her a few times, spoken to her about her career trajectory. So I'm very interested in that fight as well. So it's a good weekend for boxing.
Very good weekend for boxing. And, yeah, we got quite a bit to get through. So let's do a stream on Sunday just to talk about Saturday night's action. But, yeah, we'll wrap it up here, man. We've reached 45 minutes or so. So in the meantime, guys, before we go, Wrestling God says, in caps, he's put in, Laurie, are you covering Canelo-Charlo on DR Sports with the boys?
No, we're not. We're not covering it this weekend. See, with the DR Sports thing, we've got a few guys that are out the country on other assignments. So we don't quite have the resources to do all the fights I thought he was doing before. But we will be resuming our boxing coverage. We've got a few fights lined up. Obviously, we'll be doing the KSI Tony Fury fight. Probably end up doing the Ngannou Fury farce. But then we got a couple of other fights we're doing as well. I'm sure we'll be doing the Fury-Usyk fight if that really does happen the way people are speculating it will. Well, it's signed, so we keep hearing. So, yeah.
Okay.
And we will be doing the, sorry, I should have said, we will be doing the Dan Aziz Josh Buatsi fight, which is a cracking fight, of course. That's in a few weeks' time. So, yeah, we'll be doing those fights.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll wrap it up here, guys. We'll be back on here on Sunday for our post-fight review. But until then, enjoy the fights, enjoy the weekend, and we'll catch you guys then.